Hey everyone, how's it going? This is Julie with JulianneConsulting.com, and I'm so happy that you are watching this video because I'm about to talk about a slightly vulnerable but somewhat interesting, funny moment that I had when I attended my first chamber mixer as the confident communication consultant that I am. So, if you don't know me or what confident communication consulting is, I work with women who are getting back into the workforce, who have maybe taken a break due to family startup or motherhood, or maybe you're making a transition from one job to another, or who knows. Okay, I work with women of all sorts, but in particular with that startup moment, it can be really nerve-wracking trying to get your new title, your new hat, your confidence to be in alignment with all of your goals and everything that you are wanting to stand for. Am I right? So that's why I'm here. As confident communication consultant, I help you to figure out your messaging, your way of sharing that with the world, and how it can be special and unique without really having to reinvent the wheel, right? So for me, I went to this chamber mixer, and it was the first time that I was actively putting on my hat as the confident communication consultant. And let me tell you, I was a little nervous. I'm a really confident person, but I was really nervous because it was my first one. I, hadn't really been telling a lot of people about what I was doing because I live in a small town and I didn't really know how to say, hey world, I'm here, I'm doing this new thing that nobody's heard of. I'm kind of just going out there on a limb and I'm making it work. So I got to the mixer and the first thing I had to do was write down my name tag, and I write down Julie, first name, right? And then I decided not to write my last name because I have a really long name and it wasn't going to necessarily help people remember me. So I did write down my title though. I wrote Julie, Confident Communication Consultant. And I stuck that bad boy on there and I started to mingle. I went and grabbed my beverage, I got a little snack, and began to interact with folks. And so some of the first people that I met were really nice, and they're kind of people that I was familiar with. And so, name, title, byline, it all went beautifully. And then I started to talk with a few people who had been in business for a while. I started to talk with a few people who were even retirees, and they weren't necessarily my ideal client. In fact, they were men. And so I thought that this was really amazing because I got nervous. And then I had to use my affirmations. So strategy number 1, you are what you think, was coming into full force. And it wasn't that I thought less of myself, but I still wanted to be able to talk about my business and what I did in a confident and courageous and grounded way, right? Because that's who I am. I'm a grounded person. And I had to start personalizing it. I had to kind of get out of my head for a second and say, Julie, these are people. They understand what startup is. Even though it happened for them like 1,000 years ago, they're going to understand. And they all seem really nice, and they all seem to have a great sense of humor. They're making jokes about your name tag. So it was pretty funny, but there were definitely some haha moments where these older men were like, oh, you're really confident, aren't you? And I was like, yeah, I am. I'm pretty confident. There's nothing wrong with owning your stuff, okay? That's not one of the strategies, but it's something that I talk about a lot, and you definitely have to own it because everybody's human. Everybody has something that is awesome, and everybody has those not so awesome or in development parts to themselves. And so I discovered at that moment that I wanted to really make my elevator pitch stronger. So what I started doing was, with each person that I talked to, I tried to get enough information out of them to be able to really explain to them what it is that I do, how I do it, and for who that was. Because I thought, some of these guys, they're not my ideal client, but they might be fathers, husbands, friends of people who are my ideal client. So that's how I really got creative. And I did have a lot of compassion for myself because I was saying to myself the whole time, Julie, this is your first mixer. There will be more. That was okay. You said that, you probably could have said that differently, but hey, it's fine. Let's just keep the ball rolling. Let's keep that conversation going. Like, the next person you're going to talk to is going to be somebody that is different, right? That asks you different questions or that understands this differently. And so that's how I was compassionate. And I kept the ball rolling and I kept talking to people, and I met my goal of meeting 10 new faces and talking to them throughout the 2-hour mixer, right? Staying positive, which is the last strategy on the list, is really the most important piece, because even if you break down and you're like, this is my first mixer, and you're admitting it to them and saying, I'm feeling this way and I'm not sure what to say, and it's like, wow, it's really nerve-wracking. That vulnerability moment is just instant connection, because everybody's been there. We've all had a new idea. We've all had a new job. We've all put ourselves out there in one way or another. And it's super important to just be real and own it and say, that's where I'm at. All right. So that's how I made it through my last chamber mixer. And I'm sticking to that story. I hope you got something out of this. And if you haven't had a chance to work with the strategies to command your confidence, I fully invite you to check them out and take them to a mixer near you. All right. Hope you're doing well. Hit reply and let me know how these strategies resonate with you. And I'd love to hear what you think. I'm Julie with JulieAnnConsulting.com, and it's been a pleasure to help you get confident, connected, so you can communicate your authority.